I'm Margo Sorum, and welcome to your foot conditioning video. We're going to jump right in. So many of us have deconditioned feet because we're in an orca tank. We're in shoes and we're walking on flat surfaces. And we want to recondition and make our feet like baby's feet again. In fact, I'm going to show a picture of baby's feet. And in this picture, you can see that the foot has a little bit of flexion to it. The toes are a little bit flexed. There's some tone in the plantar tendon. And the foot's kind of positioned a little more inwards. Look down below and you'll kind of see that these individuals who happen to be in their 90s also have kind of the same shape to their feet, baby feet. So we're gonna do these foot exercises today. I'm gonna have you start, or we can just watch this part. I'm gonna have my foot, and here I am in dorsiflexion, and I'm extending my toes. And then I'm going to stay in dorsiflexion, but I'm going to flex my toes. I'm going to extend the toes, flex the toes, extend and flex. And when we kind of slightly flex the toes, you're starting to condition and help support this plantar tendon. Oftentimes, feel that. You'll feel it kind of pop and it starts to feel over tight and strained. So we're going to start to kind of have this shape to our foot when we do yoga poses. Kind of new, huh? Here's this same movement from the side. So here's that dorsiflexion of the ankle. Here's the plantar flexion. You're going to kind of go back and forth between these two. This is going to start to condition upstream. There's over 100 muscles, ligaments, and tendons that connect the foot to the lower leg, so this already is a workout. When you're in your plantar flexion position, really go ahead and flex those toes, extend those toes, dorsiflex, flex the toes. Oh, that's the new position. Extend the toes, flex the toes, extend the toes, flex the toes. Plantar flex the ankle, extend the toes, dorsiflex, flex. Ah, good job. Okay, let's do that with the other side too. Take your other foot up, flex, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Really feel those toes flexed. Then extend the toes, dorsiflex the ankle, but flex the toes. Extend the toes, flex the toes. So this kind of dorsiflexion position with the flexed toes is what I'm going to be asking for ultimately when we do some foot circles. And your toes might not do that right away, but see if over time you can keep that slight flexion of your toes as you do the circumduction of the ankle, and go the other way too. Good. Let's do this on this first side again. So dorsiflexion, but then flex your toes, and then do your foot circles. So that will be the awareness practice. And even just this is going to be quite a bit of conditioning. All right, we're going to build on this. We're going to elevate the pelvis a little bit. And I have a bolster, so I'm using that. But you might have a block, or you might just have a towel or a blanket that you use to elevate the pelvis. But it's going to help get the angle that will help you work at the easiest. Come underneath, and then you're placing your sacrum on that bolster. Your spine is free. Bring your knees in, and then float the legs up. And your legs are not perfectly straight. In fact, you're going to soften the knees, and you're going to kind of back up so that your heels are kind of relatively over your hips. The thighs are going to need to stay stable, as well as your shins. So it might even help to have your hands here. Practice our dorsiflexion and the plantar flexion, and just go between those two. And again, this is an isolation of just the ankle and the foot moving. Your shins are not. And you'll start to feel the workout in the shin as you just isolate the movement of the foot. Go less. And even less. And feel the engagement just start to turn on when you do this. It's very fascinating, but it's really deep conditioning. This time, dorsiflex, and now practice just flexing your toes. Relax the toes, flex the toes, relax the toes, flex the toes. Good. Now keep everything nice and still, and go ahead and make those foot circles. And this is where you have to be careful because the legs might start going rogue and knees might start to move or other things. But please keep your thighs still, the knees still, and really isolate the foot. And if this brings you into hot sweats or it cramps the toes a little bit, I am not surprised. That is kind of how deconditioned these tissues are. Go the other direction. Oh my. I'm burning, burning, burning. The shins are burning so much. You will feel this probably all the way into the hips as well. Let's take a little break. Bring your knees in and wide. Just be in Supta Baddha Konasana. Do a squat on the ceiling. This is another position where you can practice our dorsiflexion and just flex the toes. Dorsiflexion, extend the toes, flex them. You can also just practice your foot circles here in your wide squat. This is such an amazing workout. Most of the time we're standing on our feet, so your feet are weight bearing. But when we work in this inversion, your feet are not weight bearing, but we can really start to condition all the little, really refined soft tissues and all the little detailed spots. Let the legs float back up. This position, Jean Couch calls dead bug. So really, please, we're not rigid bug, we're soft. And you can kind of you can start with your legs straightened together and then just kind of start to soften, let your knees go wide. And it starts to feel to me a little bit like being an astronaut, where you're just floating here. You're not holding yourself here. You found this place where you're wedged and supported in the pelvis and against your back into the ribs, and the legs are just free floating. That's where you're practicing. I'm gonna do one more round. Sometimes I put a belt around my shins or around the thighs so that, again, I can't move, so that I'm stabilizing everything. But you might need to just use your hands. And you can do that little slight abduction into your hands to make sure the knees are not going inwards. And you're gonna do your circles and go the other way. Make sure you dorsiflex and then flex the toes. Keep the toes in that flex position as you do the foot circles. That's what's going to make this really profound and interesting. Go the other direction as well. Great, bring that in, let the knees go wide, bring it up to your squat. Step your one foot forward of your bolster or your blanket, bring this other knee in and hold on to it, slide that leg out. You can enjoy a little bit of a hip flexor psoas stretch. You can pull your spine up and down the floor by that little bit of dorsiflexion, plantar flexion with your foot to chug you. And then let's do that on the other side, switching legs. Just let the height of the bolster or your blanket kind of support you. It's going to load the psoas stretch. And then again, dorsiflex, but then flex the toes and then go forward and back. Feels so good. Set both feet in front of your bolster or your blanket, lift the hips, send that bolster out of your way so you come down, lengthen your legs all the way out, and you can chug a little bit here too. So lean into those heels, the knees will be off the floor. Do that little bit of flexion in your toes, and you can even do your foot circles here. So every time in your spinal floss that you come into this variation, start to work and condition your toes with a little bit of toe flexion. Rest. Make your way up, and we're going to go one time into our foot scoops. So I'm going to be back, so hopefully we can see this. Maybe I'll let our yogini be shown too. So in this position, we could turn one set of toes inwards, scoop your heel underneath, and stand down. And now you have these beautiful wrinkles just like a baby's foot, and the toes are slightly turned inwards. Same thing on that other side. You're adding the torque, you're swiveling the heel underneath, and here we are on our feet and legs like pillars of support. And hopefully your feet start to look like those 90-year-olds and like babies. This tends to be that position that's flippered and flat. And when we do the flip for flat position, remember, we start to stand on a slant and you're so vulnerable. You're over tight here, you're over slack and tight in the back. It's just causing a host of problems. So we start to turn the feet forward so we can even back the hips up. And now look, my torso is a little bit forward, but my legs are pillows of support. And then I do my little foot scoops. And here we start to have alignment that really benefits the body. Even make sure you have make sure you have shoes that you can do that little bit of toe flexion. And rather than flattening out your toes, we just draw the toes slightly in and up so they start to tone and become really muscular. So I hope that your feet become very strong, that you reestablish your arches. And this Viparita Karate pose is a wonderful way to be non-weight bearing in your feet and get all those little macronutritions. May you all be happy, healthy, safe, and may your practice bring you peace and ease. Thank you.